Welcome to Flashpoint, the place where we break down the most powerful machines in the world and explain how they work. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most advanced and feared weapons of modern warfare, the Abrams main battle tank. Specifically, we'll be exploring how the M1A2 and its latest upgraded version, the M1A2C, are driven, operated, and fired. If you've ever wondered what it takes to control a 70-ton steel beast that combines speed, protection, and destructive firepower, then this is the video for you. Stick around as we go through step by step, looking at the crew, the controls, the firing systems, and exactly how a modern tank dominates the battlefield. To begin, let's imagine you're standing in front of an Abrams M1A2. From the outside, it looks massive, intimidating, and almost impossible to control. The vehicle weighs around 68 to 73 tons depending on the version, yet it moves with surprising agility thanks to its turbine engine. But before we talk about driving, let's first understand the crew roles inside this armored monster. A tank is never operated by one person, it is a team effort. The Abrams has a crew of 4, the commander, the gunner, the loader, and the driver. Each one has a vital role, and the tank simply cannot function effectively without all of them working in harmony. The driver sits in a small compartment at the front of the tank. It's a tight, low space with just enough room for the driver to stretch his legs out toward the controls. The position is almost like lying back in a reclined seat with periscopes above for visibility. Unlike a car with a steering wheel, the Abrams driver controls the tank with handles or yokes that resemble motorcycle handlebars. Pushing both forward accelerates the tank, pulling back slows it down, and pushing one forward while pulling the other back allows the tank to pivot or turn. It's much simpler than it looks, but it requires training because the vehicle's size, momentum, and weight make it handle very differently than anything on the road. The Abrams is powered by a Honeywell AGT1500 gas turbine engine, which is more like a jet engine than a car engine. It produces about 1,500 horsepower, giving the tank a top speed of around 42 miles per hour on roads and slightly less off-road. This might not sound fast compared to cars, but for a 70-ton armored machine, it is incredibly fast. The acceleration is smooth and powerful, and one of the most impressive things about driving the Abrams is how it can move such mass with such ease. The driver also has to manage the terrain. Driving through mud, sand, snow, or rocky ground requires skill since the tank has to maintain traction and avoid getting stuck. The Abrams has advanced suspension that allows it to tackle rough terrain, climb obstacles, and keep a relatively stable platform for firing. Now, while the driver focuses on mobility, the real power of the Abrams comes from its main weapon system. The M1A2 is armed with a 120 smoothbore cannon capable of firing a variety of rounds, from armor-piercing projectiles to high-explosive shells. Learning to fire this gun is not like playing a video game. It involves coordination between the gunner, the loader, and the commander. The gunner is responsible for aiming and firing, while the loader physically loads each shell into the breech of the gun. The commander oversees the entire process, scanning for threats, choosing targets, and giving the order to fire. Let's step inside the turret for a moment. The gunner's seat is packed with high-tech controls and sighting systems. Modern Abrams tanks like the M1A2 and the M1A2C are equipped with thermal imaging, laser rangefinders, and advanced computer systems that calculate the perfect shot. The gunner uses a control handle similar to a joystick to move the cannon left, right, up, or down. Once the commander identifies a target, the gunner aligns the sight, and the fire control computer instantly calculates distance, wind, movement, and even the temperature of the gun barrel. This means that when the gunner pulls the trigger, the shell has a very high chance of hitting the target, even if both the tank and the enemy are moving. The loader's role might sound simple, but it is physically demanding and requires precision under pressure. The Abrams cannon uses large, heavy shells, each weighing between 40 and 50 pounds depending on the type. The loader has to grab a shell from the storage rack, rotate it, and slam it into the breech of the gun as fast as possible. A well-trained loader can load a round in just a few seconds, keeping the tank firing rapidly in combat. Once the round is in place, the breech closes, the gunner aims, and the commander gives the final order to fire. When the round is fired, the recoil is absorbed by the tank systems, but the shockwave inside the turret is still powerful and the smell of burnt propellant fills the compartment. Then the cycle repeats. The loader grabs another round, the gunner lines up, and the commander calls the shot. Driving and firing a tank is not just about individual skill, it's about teamwork and communication. The commander has a 360-degree view thanks to his cupola and periscopes. He's constantly scanning for enemy threats, prioritizing targets, and giving commands. In a combat situation, seconds matter and the crew must function like a single organism. If the commander spots an enemy vehicle, he might call out, "Tank 1,000 meters front." Immediately, the gunner swings the cannon, the loader prepares the right round, and within moments the Abrams unleashes its firepower. That synchronization is what makes tank crews so effective on the battlefield. The Abrams M1A2C, the most recent version, adds even more advanced technology to this process. It includes upgraded electronics, improved armor packages, and new fire control systems. One of the biggest improvements is the integration of digital systems that allow the commander and gunner to share targeting data instantly. This makes the process of finding, tracking, and destroying targets even faster and more reliable. The M1A2C also improves survivability with better protection against improvised explosive devices and anti-tank guided missiles, which are some of the biggest threats in modern warfare. So how do you actually learn to drive and fire one of these tanks? The process starts with training simulators. Just like pilots use flight simulators, tank crews use advanced simulators that replicate the interior of the tank, the controls, and even the motion. New drivers practice maneuvering on virtual terrain, learning how the controls respond, and building the muscle memory needed to handle the real thing. Gunners and loaders also train in simulators where they can practice loading and firing without using live ammunition. Once the basics are mastered, crews move to live training exercises with real tanks. They practice driving through obstacle courses, firing at moving targets, and coordinating with other tanks in formation. This training is intense and physically demanding, but it ensures that when the crew is in combat, every action is second nature. Now let's talk about the experience of firing the Abrams M1A2C cannon. When the round is fired, the blast is tremendous. The gun produces a deafening roar and the recoil shakes the entire turret. From outside, the muzzle flash and shockwave can be seen and felt hundreds of meters away. The shell leaves the barrel at incredible speed, traveling more than a mile in just a few seconds. The armor-piercing rounds can penetrate even the most advanced enemy tanks, while the high-explosive rounds can obliterate bunkers, walls, or soft-skinned vehicles. The psychological effect of the Abrams' firepower is just as important as its physical impact. Enemies facing an Abrams know that they are up against one of the deadliest tanks ever built. Of course, the Abrams is not invincible. Modern warfare has shown that tanks must constantly adapt to new threats like drones, precision missiles, and urban combat. That's why the M1A2C has been upgraded with new armor and active protection systems. These systems can detect incoming missiles and attempt to intercept or deflect them before they hit the tank. Combined with the crew's training, this makes the Abrams one of the toughest vehicles to destroy on the battlefield. Driving and firing a tank like the Abrams is a combination of raw power, advanced technology, and human skill. It takes years of training to become truly proficient, and even then the battlefield constantly tests every crew member. From the driver navigating treacherous terrain to the loader slamming shells into the breach, to the gunner hitting moving targets with pinpoint accuracy, to the commander making life-or-death decisions, the Abrams crew operates as a single machine. Together, they bring to life one of the most powerful weapons of modern warfare. When you see an Abrams tank rolling forward, it's not just a vehicle. It's a symbol of engineering mastery, teamwork, and overwhelming firepower. Whether it's the classic M1A2 or the upgraded M1A2C, the Abrams continues to be the backbone of armored forces, proving itself time and time again on the battlefield. And now you know exactly how it's driven, how it's fired, and how it works. This is Flashpoint, and we'll keep bringing you deep dives into the most powerful and fascinating machines in the world. If you enjoyed learning about the Abrams and want to see more breakdowns of modern military technology, make sure to stick with us. Until next time, stay curious and stay sharp.